Yes. So how did you not give up, Katie?
Oh, I tried to I surrounded myself with things that were these small goals, like, which I played and I've talked about this a lot with my friends, like, the video game Animal Crossing came out, and on Animal Crossing is that, you play, you are this character, you have a village, and you do these simple tasks within your village, and you move up, and you get furniture options and this and that, and so each day I'd have to wake up and it's like, "Okay, I gotta make sure," especially in the beginning, like, I gotta water my plants, I have to dig up some flowers, and my niece, who's 6 now, is she was deeply into Animal Crossing too, so we would be playing with each other when we could, and, we'd FaceTime, and then we're playing, and then she could come to my island, I can go to her island, and I knew, like, she had these expectations of me. Aunt TT has to, like, do certain things, like, I gotta get to a certain level so I can get this. So my job became to, like, play this game while she was at school so she could get it's in there, or, like, or whenever she had online classes. So next time we played, I would have this particular dress for her or this particular piece of furniture. So those became, like, my little goals. That definitely
So
helped.
your human connection was very important.
Oh, absolutely. It was, like, without I don't I say I think I've said it a million times. It's like, if I did not have the support of my family and friends like I had, I don't think I would have made it through because I think I would have just been like,
Well, there's a Zen concept called the illusion of separateness, and that's what most people have, the illusion that we're all separate, and that's incorrect. So there's a Pollyannish statement out there that says God doesn't close one door without opening another.
yes.
However, in the 12-step world, Katie, we say that's true. However, it can be hell in the hallway. So the whole idea about your recovery journey is how you dealt with the hallway.
I like that because you hear a lot of that, like, you're not given more than you can handle, and like all these phrases, like, oh, and it's like, oh no, what? Everything happens for a reason. You're like, I do not know what reason this was.
Well, when they teach you in therapy school about one of the most disrespectful things or hurtful things you can say to somebody is everything's going to be okay.
Hmm.
It's going to be all right. We can't tell people like that, Katie, because we don't know it's going to be okay.
It's true. It's hard because people want to say something. They want to say something, and whether or not that saying something makes you feel better, or it might come from them making themselves feel better
Yes.
by saying something, and you can definitely there's definitely the feeling you get when somebody's trying to say I'm saying this to make myself feel better, like the person, I'm saying nice things to them, so that makes me a nice person.
So when people would come to you, and I'm sure many of them said this, let me know if you need anything.
Mhm.
You probably heard that thousands and thousands of times. So, however, keeping in mind, what would you have wanted from people? What would you for out there for people who are having these type of traumatic experiences and in recovery faced with tragic news? What helped you the most? Maybe
I
not fur coats or diamond rings.
Ooh, that's nice. Whenever anybody would be like, "Well, what can I do to help you?" It's so hard to answer that question because there might be something tangible at that point where I'm like, "You know what? Can you go pick up this or go do this for me?" But most times you're like, "I don't know. Thanks." Like, you definitely appreciate it, but you don't feel comfortable asking for things because it feels weird to ask for things. But for me, the things that really, like, made my day were like, I'd get surprise packages, and they weren't even anything, like, super, we're not talking, like, fancy schmancy things. I mean, like, fun things that, like, I could do in the house, or a hat that my friend's mom crocheted, and, or just, like, gift cards. Gift cards are huge. I don't know why people are not really keen on giving gift cards, but they're amazing. Like, Starbucks, fantastic. I can just go get coffee that you might not spend money on, the things that you're like, "Okay, I'm gonna have this much money in bills. I can't afford to go to Starbucks, or I can't afford a book from Barnes& and Noble because I should be responsible and spend the money over here on bills."
Uh,
So, like, those gift cards give you permission to, like, spoil yourself a little bit.
After the initial shock of the news kind of fades away, and people do have quick forgetters, Katie, uh, I often suggest to people that if they ask, if somebody says, "What can I do for you?" ask them to send you a card every 2 weeks, or to do a kindness for another, or to call me in 3 weeks and ask me the same question. Those type of things, because people have quick forgetters and they generally move on to the next crisis.
Mhm.
However, I'm certain for the people that were closest to you, there was a daily occurrence for them to ask about you.
Oh, yeah, there were definitely, I mean, like, there were meals were dropped off, gift cards for food were given because at that point, we were doing a lot of takeout because it was just easier because you're just exhausted from everything going on, and it was but it definitely I got a lot of wonderful. I have a box that I hold on to and that I keep things in because I don't wanna forget things, I don't wanna lose things in all of this and, like, forget how wonderful people were to me.
Well, we often talk about on the show, you can go to Paris, you can go to Cancun, you can go to Homestead, you can go to Highland Park. But what we carry with us through our lives, Katie, is memories.
Mhm.
So, what are some of the memories that you're carrying with you in the Katie box?
With that particular, journey in my life or
Yes, yes.
I think some of my favorite memories were, I got a card from all of my coworkers that I work with from the raffle at the Penguins, where they all their names were in it, and the card was very, very thoughtful, and they pulled together and they paid a month of my bills, and, like, just the stress of, like, not having to worry about that.
The Pens did?
Yeah, my Penn's coworkers
Ah,
and my raffle, the folks that go out and do the 50/50 raffle with me, and I was like, "Oh, geez," like, you don't like, that was a huge relief, um, for me, and I think, like, things oh gosh, like, I got a lot of cute little trinkets that I still keep around because I look at them and they're like, "My friend cared enough about me to take the time to do this," or thinking about cards that I got a lot of and family members that I haven't heard from in a bit and becoming closer with them reaching out to me. And I think that I think the way that like I got close to a lot of folks in my life that was an unexpected and really nice thing.
so some of my memories of that from our first one was the video showing you walking into the Penguins locker room,
Yeah, my
being presented, and that the nice video tribute from Sidney Crosby.
yes. That was definitely there were so many like, there were things I didn't realize I had a bucket list until things that were checked off for me, like having my name on the back of a hockey jersey. I should have brought my wrestling belt with you. I'm the cancer kicking cancer ass champion, and, like, that is one of the coolest things that will ever happen to me in my life. Like, you're gonna have a hard time topping that, having a belt and, like, and then it was fun for me to take this belt to show friends, and within especially within my cancer group, and I'm like, "Look at this," and they're like, "That's so cool," and I'm like, "Yeah, we did this," and this is
So we do carry those memories with us. And so could we fast forward to today and let's hear about Katie today?
ooh, who is Katie today? I am not the same person, which is really, really wild and wild to think about that, and you don't realize how many times within your life that you are become a new person until you go through something like that, and you're like, "Oh, okay, I am." Like, there's not a single part of me that I feel like there are very few parts of me that are still the same. Like, I am still a silly human, and that's something, like, that I held to and really leaned into after this process because that's one of my favorite parts of my personality is how ridiculous I am, and, like, folks have asked me, they'll see me in my ridiculous leggings, they're like, "Do you go out in these?" I'm like, Absolutely, like, these socks and legging combinations, I wear them in public, I don't care, I think they're fun, and most time people you'd be surprised how often people will be like, "Oh, those are so cool, I like those," or "Those made me smile," and
Well, if you sparkle on the outside, you can't help but sparkle on the inside, Katie.
yeah.
And I hope that you surrounded yourself with color and sparkle. So the Buddha was asked once, Katie, what's the most common misconception that people have? And the Buddha answered, the most common misconception people have is that they have an abundance of time.
Yeah, it's the going through something like this really reminds you that you don't.
Yes. So what we try to help people do is to help people figure out what's important because most things are not. So tell us about some things that you uh, perceive now. as important and kind of disconnect from the rest of the nonsense.
Definitely, family and friends, and like them become a priority. And I can tell you, in past versions of me, has put work first and missed out on things that I'm like, why did you do that? This place was not worth you doing that for this and missing out on this. So doing things like that, doing something that might have given me pause in the past, like this is a little too ridiculous, and I'm like, meh, I don't care. Like, I worked the hockey game this past weekend, and I had St. Patrick's Day cat socks on,
Ah,
and I walked around and just put my foot up and took pictures, like, around, like, the lower part of the arena of, like, "This is my foot here, this is my foot here," and one of my poor friends was there, and he was standing there, and I just put my foot and took a picture, and his face is like, "What are you doing?" But he understood, like, once I told him, but it's that, like, just where I may have paused in the past where I'm like, "Oh, this is too much." It's like, "Nope, not enough. Let's go."
well, Friedrich Nietzsche once said, "Whatever doesn't kill me makes me stronger." So tell us about that. Tell us about some of the strengths that you developed or bloomed.
I think it took me a while to really embrace how much I've overcome in these past couple years, and that when I go to do something, I'm like, I'm nervous about this, but like you did this, which is way harder than this. So I think a lot of that. I think a lot of I don't hide things like from myself. I am very open and just will say what I'm thinking instead of going, "Ooh, should I not do this?" Like there's this confidence level that specifically I think I even like I said with my talking to my therapist has bloomed at like that's been my big thing. Like I have this confidence level of like I can do so much more than I realized I was capable of. And it's weird because whenever you're actively going through treatment, you are doing whatever you need to do to stay alive. And then after these appointments that I go to and these the way I take care of myself is for me. Like it's no longer like I'm in survival mode. I am trying to thrive, and that's given me, I think, a lot more confidence too.
When did you figure out during this whole experience that you were important, Katie?
Oh, geez. I think so. After went, I think for me, because there's a couple points where, like, when I went public with it, I didn't realize how many lives had impacted over the last how many years until that point, and folks from all walks of my life were reaching out to me, and it was shocking. Like, it was I would never, ever, ever would have guessed that I had touched so many lives, and, like, it's magically overwhelming. Like, it's the best kind of overwhelming.
Well, that's the best type of gift there
Mhm,
is to carry the message to someone else.
mhm.
And to carry a message, you have to have one. And that means that you being in a condition to be able to carry one and to give people hope. I remember when Barack Obama was running for president the first time, his campaign slogan was "Keep Hope Alive."
Mhm.
So, how did Katie keep hope alive?
Gosh. Uh, I leaned on everybody else. Like, I think I did I depended on my circles, my extended circles, because I don't think I could have done this on my own, and to admit that was huge because 'cause I've always been like, "I got this, I got this, I got this," no big deal. I don't need help. And now I was hitting a point where I was actively asking for help, which was a new experience for me, and having higher these, like, elevated expectations for myself that were beyond any ability to achieve them. But I was able to go, okay, give myself some grace, reach out to other folks and allow them to help me and allow them to be part of my
Ah,
life. And it was like, oh wow, this is cool.
well, in the recovery world, we say there's a big difference, Katie, between asking for help and accepting it.
Mhm.
And to knock on the doors, and sometimes the doors don't open. So, how did you handle that when you knocked on a door and it didn't open? When you couldn't get into a place or this particular person or procedure wasn't available?
Oh geez. There was so early in the beginning, I had in my mind I was going to have a lumpectomy and hopefully not have chemo. And that was I was like that's what's going to happen. And meeting with my surgical oncologist, she was like, but it's probably going to be like, you're going to probably end up with a double mastectomy and
Uh-huh.
chemo. And I was like, are we sure about that? She's like, we're probably going to. And like, is you could like looking back on the conversations, I definitely was like, I'm going to do this. And she was like, no, probably not.
Yeah.
And I appreciated it. And like, but at that point, it was like so deflating. Like, poop. Like I didn't want to do a bilateral mastectomy.
Yeah.
That was not my goal going into this. I did not want to get chemo, and like how crushing that call was to get that and be like, we're gonna have to do chemo. I was like, dang.
Okay. So how did you get to the other side of that?
I had to. It's like you just keep moving and you have to keep moving and you have to be like, all right, guess this is what we're doing now. And it's so weird how like you just I don't want to be like the big buzzword was pivot. And that's like seems like it's all right, we can't do this, gotta do this, got it, cool. Okay. And then this isn't gonna work, we gotta do this. Okay, cool. And it was a lot of just like, okay, cool. We got this, we have to do this. And it's
So never give up.
nope.
Actually, Katie, I was listening to Winston Churchill's Never Surrender speech, and I thought of you.
Oh really?
Yes, I did, actually.
Thank you.
Yes, I don't know if you've ever heard it or not, but
Parts of it.
quite inspiring. Yes, absolutely. So now that you're on the other side of this and you've figured out what's important, you've gained your voice and you've gained some more confidence in continuing, as everyone does. It's progress, not perfection. So, what's in front of Katie?
I like how you said progress, not perfection, because like my mantra has become it's better, not best, but it's better. Because I wanted things to be perfect or best, and it's not a reasonable expectation.
Well, if you reach the best, what's beyond that then?
Mm-hmm. It's
So we always want to keep striving. So for people out there who are feeling particularly low, feeling that the doors have closed and these negative thoughts and the negativity and what I call the darkness is consuming them, how could you possibly offer a glimmer of hope?
I think the way to offer, at least for me, was if you have a circle, lean on them. Don't be afraid to lean on them. They are there for you. That's why they're in your life, and you will make friends in people you've never expected. And I think, and if you don't have that circle to lean on, they're out there. I think that's key, is like they're out there, and you may not feel close with your family, or maybe you're realizing you're not close with certain friends. You have people out there who care about you, and look to them and lean on them. And I don't want to be like, I would never say like tomorrow will be better. Tomorrow's another day. It's could be better, could be worse, but it's always another chance to do something. And I think that's always kind of just keep going.
Just keep
Yeah.
going. Okay. As long as we put one foot in front of the other.
Mm-hmm.
And my best friend in the 12-step world, who passed away a few years ago, always told me, Jim, if it doesn't affect your breathing, it's not that important.
So good.
Yes. So that's kind of a perspective we kind of help people take on life. How important is this? I mean, I need a new phone? How important is it that I get one?
Mm-hmm.
How important is it? Well, you're important, Katie, and you're certainly an inspiration to us all. And I'm sure that if anybody would like any questions or comments concerning this program, maybe they'd like to contact Katie, you can certainly do that through the show. And Mike, our friend Mike, will certainly tell you how to do this. And you're always welcome here. Please do not be a stranger. We want to continue with the progress of Katie throughout our life. And as always, at the end of every podcast, we offer a free prescription, fruits, nuts, and vegetables, and unplug your television and take up fishing. And for a truly mindful experience, we suggest that you fish without bait. Do a kindness for yourself and do a kindness for another. Forgive yourself and forgive another till all are free, none are free. Namaste.
Please check out our website at fishingwithoutbait.com, where you can listen to the show, comment on our discussions, and find out where you can subscribe to our podcast. If you're interested in flying the colors of Fishing Without Bait, click the shop icon on our website. We have clothing, mugs, cell phone cases, and so much more. Show the world that you fish without bait. This show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at sorgatronmedia.com.